we've had more coverage than we've ever had before. We've got more media outlets here than we've ever had before. So to put on the show that these guys put on tonight, on the stage that we set for them, has been a great sight for us to see. So we're delighted with it. You know, this is the kind of night which is going to really help to kick this sport on, certainly across Europe, and definitely within the UK. So we're all a big part of that. So thanks for coming. A few little metrics for us. The attendance tonight was 16,734, which is a record for the UK. And the gate was just over $2 million. The performance bonuses, fight of the night, relatively straightforward, Silver versus Bisping. And performances of the night, Askam and Pickett. Any questions?
Yeah, first one for Scott Askam. Scott, obviously things didn't go your way in Dublin last year, and I know you were really, really keen to make amends today. Talk about the emotion when you actually landed that head kick and scored that huge knockout in front of your home countrymen.
Yeah, 100%. Dublin were a bad night office for me. I wanted to put that behind me. Obviously, fighting here in London in front of my own crowd got me fired up more than ever. I was more than ready, and I always thought the fight starts standing. I knew at some point I would land the strikes and get the finish.
And a question for Tom Breeze, if I can. Tom, that was the toughest test of your professional career so far. I know going in you said you knew he was going to be a wily veteran and a difficult test. How do you assess that performance? I know there's been quite a lot of hype behind you from the likes of us, pushing you up there as someone who can really do big things for the UK. But that was a tough test for you today, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a disappointing performance. You know, I'll never make excuses. You know, he's a very tough guy, and I'm going to take a lot from the fight. I'm going to go back to the gym. I'm going to work harder than ever, and just improve.
For Brad, if I could, please. Obviously, a big win for you tonight. You mentioned in your post-fight comments that you were battling some demons to get here. Can you elaborate at all without getting too personal about kind of professional, personal, what you were dealing with?
Well, I think my problem was, well, not my problem, my demons were, it didn't matter who I was facing that night. It could have been like #1 in the world to some guy off the street. I mean, I just needed to get the win, and so I went in with that in mind. I mean, I was desperate. Obviously, I was coming off a few losses, and yeah, so for me, I was fighting for my job in there, in my eyes, and even if I had a loss tonight and they would say they would have kept me, I probably would end up retiring, because I'm not in this sport just to make up the numbers, and it's not about just competing at this level. It's about getting performances and winning. In training, I've been feeling great. I mean, I know I'm 37, but I started this career late, and I didn't start fighting until I was 26, so I still think I've got some good years left in me. I just needed to get the result tonight, and I think that would give me my mojo back, and yeah, now I got that done. Now I think I'll move on to better things.
I mean, sometimes I say in fighting, when a guy considers retiring, he probably should, because maybe he's half in, half out of it. Was there any thought maybe, a win in London, how much better could it be to hang it up and go out on top and say it's not going to get better than this?
Well, it's all to do with my body, really. My body's not giving up on me. I'm feeling great in the gym, and I'm competing with guys at the highest level in American top team, younger than me, and I'm doing well and beating them. So it's not a case that I can't compete at this level. It's just that I need to transfer my training to the cage and get the wins. At the end of the day, you could be the most exciting fighter in the world, but if you keep losing every fight, you can lose your job. You could be the most boring fighter in the world and win every fight, but if you lose, you can get cut as well. So,
thanks, Brad. Looking for a Gegard. Can you talk about your performance tonight? Very, very technical, very smart fight. I know you probably wanted the finish, but overall, how did you feel about your performance?
I feel very good. I dominated him. I think Michael Bisping had a very difficult fight with him. I didn't have any difficulties with him. Last fight I took chances and I paid for that. So obviously if I fight the way I want, I can beat these guys. So I think I did a very good job.
You should see the other guy. Sorry for my tardiness. Oh. Thanks, sir.
Well, Mike, we'll let you get settled, but obviously, congratulations on the win. You've had a few minutes to soak it in. We know how much this fight has meant to you over the years and did mean to you. Give us your thoughts right now, how you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. You know, this is a feeling very good. This is a fight that I've wanted for a long time, obviously, and you know, going into the fight, of course, there was things that were said, but I have the utmost respect for Anderson Silva. This is the greatest fighter of all time. The things that he did. So for me, this was a personal challenge. It really was. This is by far the biggest win of my career. I thought I won the majority of the rounds. Of course, he had a big moment in round 3. I dropped my mouthpiece. Herb Dean, he gets called the best referee in the business. I don't know, man. I know there needs to be a break in the action to stop and pick up the mouthpiece. There was no action. I was trying to say, Herb, that's my fault. I'm too experienced to make those mistakes, and Anderson capitalised, and well done to that guy for that. But all in all, you know, of course, you don't like to be sat here covered in stitches, but I got the win.
Can you talk about your recovery at that moment? Because it did seem like, you know, a lot of people thought the fight was over. Did you think initially the fight was over? And then when you realized it wasn't, it did seem initially like your body language wasn't sure if you wanted to get back in there or not.
Oh, no, come on. I, of course, wanted to get back in there. Whilst I have a breath in my body, I will always continue trying to fight. I felt fine, and then when the round stopped, I wasn't sure. You know, I wasn't sure what had happened. I was like, no, please don't tell me that this is over. I'm fine. Of course, you know, when you've just taken a couple of knees and elbows, etc., your faculties aren't exactly the sharpest at that moment in time. But fortunately, it wasn't the end, and I got the job done, as I say.
Question for Gegard. Like John said, it was a very, very good performance, very technical, and like you said, you dominated him, but the crowd didn't really appreciate it, and you seemed a little bit frustrated afterwards, like you know, that the crowd kind of got to you. Could you just sort of like talk about what it's like when you do put on a very dominant performance, where you do pretty much everything right, but the crowd doesn't appreciate it?
Well, he's a tough opponent. It's difficult to finish. Anderson wasn't able to damage him as much as I did. And he's a much better fighter now than he was back then. And he had a very good fight with Michael Bisping. So when I dominate, I should get the credit for. I could have taken unnecessary chances and then lose because I want to please the crowd. Well, they don't pay the bills. Maybe, I don't know. But who cares? I don't know, give me some good name or something like that. I don't know. Maybe then I get fired up.
Question for Makwan. So a lot of a big part of your fight has also been the story of, you know, your move from All Stars to SBG Ireland. One thing that people have been wanting about, like, was the gym the only thing you left, or did you also leave your management?
I don't know. Can I actually answer your question?
But, it's up to you.
No, let's say that I do fine by myself right now.
Okay, thank you. And then just finally for Michael Bisping.
I've never been so popular. Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Like you said, this is a fight that you've been, you know, waiting for many, many years. Did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, of course. You know, I mean, for me, this is the stuff that childhood dreams is made of. You know, fighting in the nation's capital at the O2 Arena, sold out, against Anderson Silva. It doesn't get any better than that. And the fight was a war. It was a back and forth battle. I think the crowd enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And I won. So, of course, it lived up to my expectations. Did it live up to yours?
I hadn't been waiting for it as long as you had, but it was extremely exciting fight of the night, obviously. So you did it a lot right.
There you go.
Sorry, last question for you, UFC. Sweden has been an annual destination for the past couple of years, but so far nothing's been announced. Are the UFC planning on returning 2016 to Sweden?
We're still figuring out the second half of the year. You know, we've obviously got our events in Croatia and in the Netherlands coming up. We're still figuring that out. It's somewhere that Stockholm's always somewhere that we're looking to go. Scandinavia in general is an important market for us, so we're looking at it. Whether it will happen in 16, I don't know, but it won't be too long after that if it doesn't.
Okay, thank you.
A couple of questions for Mike. Mike, this week, when we spoke, I asked you if you believed in fate and destiny, and you said that for a long time you haven't, but things have happened in your personal life that have made you kind of think differently.
Sure.
Do you think it was fate and destiny that after campaigning for so many years to fight Anderson Silva, that you finally beat him and it was in your home ground here in London, in England?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes back to the question which I just answered. You know, I mean, as I said, certain things have happened in my personal life which kind of has me feeling like that. You know, I'm not really a deep person. I'm not a spiritual person. But, yeah, I don't know. Certain things have happened recently to make me possibly question that. But, yeah, listen, as I said, this is... you know, it doesn't get any better than this. For a guy like me that took up mixed martial arts, you know, to apply himself and then to be here fighting in front of all you fine people in the greatest city in the world, you know, the O2 Arena against Anderson Silva. Yes, okay, there was no title on the line, but it was still an epic event for me and something I will always remember. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank all the British public and everybody that came out and supported this event. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
There's probably a lot of UK fighters, both in and outside of the UFC, that have probably been inspired by your performance tonight. Have you got a message for them?
Wow, you know, I mean, I never look at myself as an inspirational figure. I really don't. I'm just a guy just on a mission trying to take care of my family. I've got to say I was super impressed with everybody tonight. You know, there's a lot of great British fighters coming up. I think the UK MMA scene is the strongest it's ever been. I mean, if you look at the card tonight, it was stacked top to bottom with English fighters, with British fighters, with European fighters, you know, and everybody did a fantastic job, and I'm proud of them all. I'm proud of this sport. I'm proud to be, okay, yeah, headlining, I guess. Yes, it makes me very proud, but I'm proud of this sport and where it's come to after all this time. You know, 10 years ago, half of you people probably didn't even know what UFC stood for. You know, but you're all here, and you all enjoyed the show, and this is just the start, believe you me.
And as final question, would you go as far as to say this is the greatest moment in your life?
Not the greatest moment in my life. Certainly the greatest moment in my mixed martial arts career, yes. You know, I mean, it's Anderson Silva. It's Anderson Silva. I just beat him in my home, my nation's capital. What more do you want? Of course, thank you.
Question for Pickett. Obviously, there was a lot of talk before this fight, and as you said earlier about retirement, if you had lost this, maybe. So what's next for you? How long do you think you will be, you know, fighting within the UFC? How long have you got left, do you think?
Well, I mean, I love my job, so I want to stay on this horse as long as I can, you know. Obviously, as long as like I say, I feel like I still compete at this level and not just being there to make up the numbers, you know, I'm going to keep fighting. I'd like to get back in there as soon as I can. Hopefully, I know they got a show in Rotterdam. I'd love to get on that. And as for opponents, my original opponent pulled out, so I'd love to get that rematched and just yeah, get back in there and try and get maybe like a little bit of momentum behind me now. Now I've got my confidence back. I was always confident in the gym. I've been doing well in the gym, but I need to translate that into the cage. I managed to get the win tonight, so hopefully I could get a bit of momentum back in me.
We saw you obviously very emotional. Just kind of talk to us about how emotional you were and how much this win meant for you, obviously being in London as well.
Well, obviously, I'm the only Londoner in the UFC, you know. There are other people from England, but I was born in Whitechapel down the road, and this is my back garden, basically. So there's an absolute honour, you know, that I'm fighting here. And, you know, when I was growing up, I didn't start this sport until I was 26 anyway. So I never, when I first started, like Michael Bisping used to fight on Cage Rage back in the day, and we never think this was going to be a career path. It was just literally you could fight, get a bit of money, and that was it. And then the sport's grown so much now, and it's actually like a legitimate career path for people like, you know, the young guys over there now come straight into the sport, then come from a background. And so it's just brilliant to be part of this sport and watching it grow in this country. And yeah, I'm honoured to be part of it. And like I say, I want to stay in this sport as long as I possibly can.
Thank you.
Question for Makwan, right here. Congrats on the fight first and foremost.
Thank you.
How did it feel to get your third UFC win, and how did it feel to go all 3 rounds for the first time in the UFC?
Well, I wanted to get the bonus, but unfortunately I had to work for all 3 rounds. But you know, I knew that Mike is a tough opponent, and this will be a good show. So I was really satisfied with the result.
You wanted to fight Mike this time out. What do you want next? Do you want a specific opponent or whoever the UFC puts in front of you?
I don't know, you know. I need to sit down with John Cavana and talk about the training and all the schedule, and then we think about it.
Another question for Gegard. We spoke prior to the fight, and you said that you had to, pretty much take the fight against Talis Leitis because, you had to stay active, and now you want, a bigger name to get more excited. Anyone in particular?
Well, of course, I was scheduled to fight Michael Bisping. He's a very well-known name. He's a great fighter. So, obviously,
Who is that guy?
Obviously, I had a great win tonight, and I like Michael Bisping.
I like him too.
Yeah, but I don't know. Vito Belfort, I've been chasing that fight for a long time. My opponent didn't have a well-known name, but he's a tough guy. He's difficult to put away, and I did a lot of damage and I dominated. And I think I showed that I'm top 5 at least, even though ranking says maybe 9. I'm coming back.
I've never seen so much personality out of Gegard Mousasi, I gotta say. I like this Gegard. Look at this guy. He got a snappy shirt on. Flowers. I like it. Flowers.
Arnold, you obviously had a lot more time to prepare for your fight this time around. Did you feel any more nerves going into the cage? Because you had more time to think about it?
I had less nerves, I visualized the win for months, so it was all done in my head. So, less.
You told me it was a dream come true earlier this week. Did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, for sure. I've been a fan of the UFC for a long time. The first event I come to was here when Manuel fought Gustafsson. So at that moment I said, I'm going to fight here, I'm going to win. And, I wrote it down in my notes, and now I'm here with a win. So it all come to true.
Question for James. A pretty fascinating story behind this event in the sense that it sold out in 25 minutes when it was just Bisping and Mousasi. That was essentially the only fight on the card, and then the UFC, ups the ante a little bit with Anderson Silva, and as you said, a record attendance, $2 million gate. Is it possible that the London market is underserved, and will you try to come back here more often as opposed to once every 2 years?
I'd like to come back here every week, to be honest. So I definitely feel that. I think the team here definitely feel that. So we're always pushing to have more events in Europe. So every time we can sell out an arena in the way that we did, it helps when I sit down with Lorenzo and the executives and try and get more events for us.
There is a fine line, though, as to coming too many times and hurting the market. I remember a couple of years ago, the UFC announced the return to London at the London event. Do you know when the UFC is coming back to London yet?
London is a very important part of our plans for Europe. We'd love to come back here every year. It's very difficult to guarantee that because this is the busiest arena in the world. So finding the slots which work within our calendar is a challenge, but if we had a choice, we'd always be coming back here every year, yeah.
And a question for either you or Eric over here. Was this the most watched event in Fight Pass history?
It was a historic night for Fight Pass. It was the biggest show we've ever done. The numbers have been fantastic. It was the great news for us is that also it was such a great fight that the people are still pouring in to watch it. This is something which is going to be and it's a fight that's going to go down in the ages. To be honest, I think people will watch it and people will continue to sign up. But it was a very, very successful night for us.
But to be clear, is it the most watched live event in Fight Pass?
Yes.
Great. And a question for Makwan. You've taken pride in not taking damage throughout your UFC career, and you have a bit of a shiner. Does that bother you that you have a bruised eye?
Not actually, all the ladies in Finland, they are waiting me.
So you take pride in it, actually?
Yeah, and this make me only look more legit.
And I saw you posted a photo of you and Mike. It was, pretty heated between you two leading up to this fight. What did you guys say to each other in private?
Well, I said, we just wanted to give a good show, and I hope you understand that what I did was to hype the fight, and I hope you understand that. And he said, of course I do. And then I said, I respect every opponent that steps into the octagon, and without you, this wouldn't be possible. So I just said thank you, and then we hugged, and no kisses.
Michael,
Yes.
First of all, congratulations. And I just wanted to talk about the end of the fight, the respect and emotion you and Anderson showed toward each other in the center of the octagon. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, Anderson Silva and myself, our careers have run parallel for 10 years. This is a guy that I wanted to fight for so long. I really did. And this is the guy that was the poster boy of the UFC for a while. He was the guy that was wowing audience. I used to stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning every time he fought to watch this guy. And I always wanted to fight him. I always wanted to test him. And that was the pinnacle of my career back then. He was the champion. So, of course, I always wanted that. Now, going into this fight, of course, you know, there were some things that happened in his last fight. And I took my opportunity to remind everybody of that. Of course, I had an angle. I had ammunition. I'm going to use it. That said, it is in the past. And, you know, my thoughts on that. What I said, I stand by. But you know, that's done now. Of course, I won the fight, so it's easier to take the high road. But right now, I just want to focus on, you know, enjoying the moment, wishing Anderson the best. It was a hell of a fight. He certainly hit me with some good shots. He's a legend, you know, and I always had respect for him.
From a strategic point of view, if you could just walk us through the knee and then the front kick. How did you work through all that?
Well, you know, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, as I always said, it's about heart. You know, all of these people up here, every one of us, you know, we're all cut from a certain cloth. You know, it takes a certain mindset to get in there and do this, you know, and all of us have the heart to do that. And it's about how much you want it. And I wanted this fight. I really did. This was everything to me, you know, and I guess it was that got me through those moments.
Thank you.
Thank you.